I've got my secret TV channel.
My heart beats with yours.
Sinners started calling him the Radio Demon.
Hazbin Hotel. After an almost half a decade hiatus since the pilot's dormancy, Hazbin Hotel has finally come out with its first season featuring 8 24-ish minute episodes, much like every other movie or TV show out there that's kicked off the year of 2024, receiving a mixed amount of responses and discussions online, with some not being too fond of the series, others having mixed opinions and stances on the show, with others being a little too excited about the first season's release. But putting that aside, does it truly live up to the hype? Let's find out, shall we? Little boy, you're going to hell! Episode 1 starts off with a simple evangelical introduction to the basic premise for how the characters within Hell had originated, within the opening of the first episode, serving as a teaseful mockery of the excerpts located within the Christian Bible, taking the concept of Adam and Eve in this scenario, but Lilith being Eve instead.
From the dust of earth they created Adam and Lilith.
Aside from the opening making Adam seem more of a egotistical alpha male-like figure,
equals as the first of mankind, but despite this, Adam demanded control.
Overall, it's a pretty good introduction to how the world of Hazbin Hotel and Hell itself had formed. And while we do see a theme in regards to the character Adam being rather cocky and obviously not as alpha male-like behavior, the first episode describes him as, but overall the theme surrounding Adam's character is pretty consistent within the first episode, as you can see it in scenarios such as when Charlie goes to interview Adam.
I fucking got you!
So wait, you aren't here?
No. You think I'd come down there?
And we do see that Adam still respects women, as, you know, his main lieutenant is one, of course. But we do see aspects of his egotistical and self-loathing like self that the introduction had framed him as.
How about we get to know each other a little, How about some lunch?
Thanks.
I got you again, bitch! Fucking hilarious!
But nonetheless, the opening starts off with a somewhat self-aware meta opening when it comes to showcasing Hazbin Hotel as a concept, with the joke being that Alastor is purposefully trying to make Charlie's business struggle, which granted, if you've watched the pilot, you would already be aware of this.
Considered an investment in ongoing entertainment for myself. I want to watch the scum of the world struggle to climb up the hill of betterment, only to repeatedly trip and tumble down to the fiery pit of failure.
So it's not at all surprising. So while it is meta, it at least thankfully is not too meta to the point where it's simply relying on meta humor just for the punchline. But nonetheless, we also get introduced to Angel Dust and the beginning of the pilot. And overall, if you're not really a big fan of Angel Dust's raunchy or sex-like jokes, you're not really going to like Angel originally, but later on, you will sort of see where exactly the Angel Dust's jokes come from, as it's later shown that it's his way of coping with his dealing with Valentino, with it pretty much hinted even from the moment Angel Dust even talks.
Angel, I appreciate you wanting to use your skills, but I really don't want to exploit you.
Oh, please. This body was made to be exploited.
But nonetheless, we'll get into that debacle a little bit later. But aside from that, one thing I do like about the initial introduction is that they do kind of squash many of the plot hole criticisms critics have been giving Helluva Boss a little bit, with them actually addressing it at the beginning of the initial introduction to the episode, such as when they ask Alastor why doesn't he just force everyone to stay in the hotel, and the way they address it is simply just, oh, because if we force people people to stay in the hotel, we're not gonna want them to be truly reformed.
If Freaky Face over there is so powerful, then why can't he just make people stay here?
Oh, I can.
No, we can't force sinners to stay here. They need to choose to.
Which, fair. But that aside, when it comes to discussions surrounding the musicals of this show, the musicals kind of reminded me of the various musicals used within the new Mean Girls 2024 reboot.
What can I do? Could it be you? It's calling me. What's wrong with me?
But in regards to the concept of the musicals used within Season 1, overall, if you weren't really a big fan of the musicals used in Helluva Boss, then you won't really be a big fan of them here either. But to give it a little bit of credit, there are a lot more professional and more well-rounded themes, as while there are a few bars within the songs that kind of miss the mark, aside from that, the overall premise of the musicals have some amount of purpose and structure to the story, so that's a net positive, as rather than just being used to extend the show's runtime, there is a purpose, as it mainly serves as a way to further diversify certain characters within the show, as you can see this a little bit in the song that plays during Charlie's episode 1 interview with Adam and his lieutenant.
If we rehab these sinners and cleanse all their souls,
Hell is forever, whether you like it or not. Have their chance to behave better. There's no use in trying to fight it.
So when it comes to the musicals within this season, while some of the songs do kind of miss the mark a bit,
and touch their hearts, or whatever angels have.
So your best friend screwed you over, acted nice when she not nice.
Disgusting. Dead people and shit. Oh, it's got me fucked up out here. I'm going home.
Overall, there's nothing too wrong with them, and some of the songs that occur within the later episodes are an absolute bop to listen to.
You've got it twisted. I'm that hashtag bitch, and I will do nothing less than what I please. Woo! I'm the
So when it comes to the concept of the musicals within Season 1's airing, it's a bit of a hit and a miss. But nonetheless, when Charlie gets to the scene of her interviewing Adam, it's way too padded out.
It's a solution to our biggest problem.
Oh, herpes. Yeah, that's a bitch.
No, our other biggest problem.
Oh, ugly people? Math. Global warming? No, wait, that's Earth's problem.
Yeah, we get it. He's an egotistical douchebag who thinks that his society is better than Hell's society. We get it. But that set aside, my other criticism is that the overall scenes between Vaggie and the other house guests are also way too padded out. Like, yeah, we get it. Alistor is supposed to be an old time whose only purpose is to be of annoyance and irritation.
Well, my dear, everyone remembers me from my radio show, but you insisted on this noisy picture box advertisement, so I had a little fun with it.
Husk is a bored out of his mind bartender who doesn't want to be there.
You actually think I'd be cleaning bottles and listening to you fucks bitch and moan all the time if he wasn't forcing me?
And Angel Dust is a promiscuous devil whose punchline is that everything he says attempts to be an innuendo.
You don't love being here with me, Whiskers.
Call me Whiskers again and I'll jam that bottle down your throat.
Kinky. Come on, keep talking dirty.
Like, we get it. But that aside, I will give a little bit of credit to the writers that at least we got a little bit more attention to Nifty, because while the pilot did feature Nifty, it kind of did miss the mark, as while Nifty was in the pilot, she only said a total of 2 words.
Hi, I'm Nifty. It's nice to meet you. It's been a while since I've made new friends. Why are you all women? Are there any men here? I'm sorry if that's rude. Oh man, this place is filthy. Really needs a lady's touch, which is weird because you're all ladies, no offense. Oh my gosh, this is awful. Nope.
So to give credit where it is due, I appreciate how the episode 1 at least tries to give Nifty a bit more of a purpose rather than just the character who only serves to deliver a punchline. So credit to these writers for helping to improve Nifty's character. But anyways, that aside, skipping over the scenes where Vaggie and Alistor make a deal, with the result of that deal causing the show to go live on television due to better quality, which is of course then cut by a cliffhanger revealing of a decapitated exorcist angel, with it ending on an overall solid whodunit cliffhanger. So overall, episode 1 was a little bit shaky. Moving on to episode 2.
It's war, we ain't playing games, bitch, we get it started.
The second episode is officially where the character development gets a lot more juicier between certain demographics of villains and enemies, such as Valentino and Angel Dust's demographic, and overall, in regards to that, Valentino's introduction is pretty solid, as it really does help to show that Valentino is a controlling narcissist who loves being on a constant power trip, especially with the episode's usage of the spamming of the text messages, Valentino's constant obsession over how Angel Dust is doing.
He thinks he can just walk in here, work, and then go home somewhere else? Can you fucking believe that?
As well as the desperate need for Valentino to have insurance that Angel Dust isn't doing better without him.
Can you believe what that piece of shit did? The ungrateful whore!
Which whore are we talking about this time?
Fucking Angel Dust! Who the hell else would I be talking about?
Or is in need of relying on Valentino.
I fucking made him! Without me, he's just a bag of meat with some mildly entertaining holes.
All of which being things that perfectly correlate to real-life situations and behaviors of people who act just like Valentino. But nonetheless, episode 2 also introduces us to the new enemy Vox, which I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a reference to Vox News, but nonetheless, we also get introduced to another antagonist, that being the dress-up like fashionista lady, and personally, in my opinion, I don't really understand why these people are like a trio leadership group, like especially with the dialogue at the beginning.
Just get your ass here now! Damn it, Valentino!
Oh yeah, and here I go, Valentino. Just another fucking day with Val. Hey, fuck my life.
It would have been a perfect jumpstarter to establish Valentino as being the leader, with these two being the below-ranking decibels, because then it makes more sense why they would want to get revenge back at the hotel due to them being friends with Angel Dust, looping them in via guilt by association. But with it being like they're individual people, when it comes to Vox, there's at least a little bit of a motive there, but with the dress-up fashionista lady, it's like, okay, why is she interested in wanting to go after these people? Like, yeah, they're allies, but the episode clearly shows that she's not required to be with them on their revenge journeys.
Looks like you have everything under control here.
Of course I do. Fuck you. Now shoo. Take care of the piss baby.
And while I get that these characters are more or less supposed to be reserved for season 2, but like, the show is jumping the gun way too early. Like, couldn't they have been introduced in the cliffhanger ending of episode 8? Because the only thing that occurs between them and the main protagonists is a music battle.
The loser, a fossil.
This you?
Come on, baby! And I don't mean to sound hostile, but the demon is a coward!
This you?
You still pissed? He almost beat you that time.
This you?
What?
You'll have to try harder than that next time, old pal.
Shut the fuck up!
Which, fair enough, but like, dog, I'm here to watch Hazbin Hotel, not some petty internet-style grudge taking place with these two. Like, what is the point? Like, with Valentino's individuality, it somewhat works, but with Vox, it just doesn't really work, because not only is it revealed that the TV guy has spies do his work for him,
Wait, you were caught? It hasn't even been a day!
but in episode 8 during the battle, he doesn't even have the balls to show up or even attempt to like team up or ally with the people who want Alistair dead. So it's like, what is the purpose? Why am I supposed to be threatened or intimidated by Vox for the future season 2 when he's a character who's too much of a pussy to come at people directly and hides behind others? There's nothing here that screams intimidating at all. Like, at least Valentino has the guts to bring the smoke directly to Angel Dust's face.
Angel, can I see you in your dressing room for a moment? You really think you can have Lucifer's little bitch fight your battles for you? You know she can't do anything. I own you. Or have you forgotten that?
No.
Vox, you have to do it through a monitor screen. Like, is this supposed to be Alistair's #1 enemy? He just sounds like an obsessed stalker girlfriend. Like, I get the whole purpose was to establish Serpentious joining the group after realizing he wants to be allies with these people after seeing how much of a piece of shit abandoning douche Vox is.
I can't believe we thought you could handle even something this simple. You do us a favor. If they don't kill you, go ahead and do it yourself.
But even then, the scene doesn't really help to make Vox an at all important antagonist enemy in this season, which is overall my biggest criticism for episode 2, which is that it's like, well, what exactly makes these antagonists threatening? Like, all I got from Vox was that he's just Serpentious 2.0, just a character who's salty that he got his ass kicked and taken to task by Alistair.
You still pissed he almost beat you that time?
Like, you could have actually made it impactful by giving Vox a serious reasoning for his disliking of Alistair, such as family or business reasons, but instead, you made Vox's reasoning for wanting Alistair dead being the simple reason that he got his ass beat by him. Like, bro, I'm here to watch Hazbin Hotel and have serious character depth and impactful grudges, not watch some watered down PewDiePie versus T-Series type internet beef. Like, you couldn't have picked a better reason or picked a more stronger villain? Like, this guy is a joke. Like, we all know in complete reality, all Alistair would have to do is teleport and then annihilate his ass with a simple movement of his staff. But we're somehow supposed to act like he's this big shot or big deal for later? Like, get the f out of here, bro. So in all honesty, episode 2 kind of had some unneeded villain arcs. Like, all you had was just a butthurt Vox and Valentino, which I'll give credit. Valentino, very solidly structured character. The ending moments where Valentino sends Angel Dust a bunch of threatening
Angel bitch, if you don't come home, you will be fucking greasy truckers for the next year.
and also complimenting messages
Hey, amorcito, I didn't mean to yell, but you know how crazy you make me.
is like super correlatable to what other TV shows out there have done, such as Squid Game, for instance, where they did it on the glass bridge scene with having Deok when confronted by Mihaneo essentially going through a ton of different emotions, from ballistic to bleeding, and then attempting to be cordial with Mihaneo. Because much like Valentino, both of them have essentially one thing on their constant mind, which is manipulation.
When I say you better get that fucking cunt out of my studio, you say. You say.
아니지. 지금 장난하는 거지?
사람 넘치잖아. 안 보여? 이번만 잠시 헤어졌다가 다음번에 다시 만나면 되잖아.
And power dynamic.
I have killed bitches for less than this attitude. You're gonna go get rid of her, and then you're filming all night. Get me? This felt good.
나도 이상 안 간다고.
안 가면 내가 밀어버린다. 그래. 다 들어와! 다 같이 뒤질 거야! 야, 이 씨발놈들아! 난 니들 대신 뒤질 테니까 다 덮으라고!
With both of them going through all of these attempts at convincing the person that they're overpowered, with not only manipulation,
Get me? This felt good.
Charlie, leave!
I didn't. I'm so sorry.
개새끼.
이제야 본색이 나오시는군. 아이고 무서워라. 우리 한민재 씨 오늘도 게임 잘해보세요.
but also through slinging of insults.
You fucking slut! Little cocksucking piece of shit!
아쉽네. 니들은 내 손으로 죽이고 싶었는데.
Because their biggest fear is essentially the person that they've been manipulating finally getting the courage to stand up against them.
Fuck off, Val. You forget who you're talking to. I own you, bitch.
Yeah, in the studio. But out here, I get to do what I want.
비켜.
먼저 가겠다고?
그래. 쫄보 새끼. 덕수야, 넌 족도 졸라 작아.
The text messages scenes between them are very well written. I am glad that they do focus more on their dynamic later on and less on Vox. So for all there is to criticize about this show, the dynamic between them is absolutely perfect. But that being said, we'll move on to episode 3. Now, aside from episode 3 adding more depth to Serpentious as a character alongside the introduction of Carmela Carmine, episode 3, much like number 2, kind of suffers from the same flaw, which is essentially character depth, as for some reason the show likes to out of nowhere introduce these random ass characters without explaining what makes them so fearful or threatening, as later on Alistair meets Hark and it's established that everyone's fearful and scared of this guy, but are you gonna explain what makes him so threatful? We had a whole dedicated minute-long section to Alistair's character in the pilot.
He's an unpredictable source of danger, a wicked spirit of mystery we can't risk getting involved with unless we want to end up erased.
And why the guy's threatening?
He broadcast his carnage all throughout hell, just so everyone could witness his ability.
And even then, it's established that not everyone knows who Alistair is.
So, what's the deal with Smiles over there?
Wait, you've never heard of him before? The radio demon, one of the most powerful beings hell has ever seen.
Not big on politics.
So it's are you gonna explain who Hark is and why we're supposed to be threatened by him?
You done? He looks like a strawberry pimp.
Well, I don't trust him.
To be fair, do you trust any man?
The show tries its hardest to attempt the whole show don't tell method.
Harvester.
Holy shit!
Doth become this fine day. Thou hast graced us with thy presence. Some have spun wild tales of you.
But it just doesn't work here, because in situations like this, you need to explain why the characters are supposed to be fearful, because yeah, sure, the characters got a Spider-Man-like aesthetic, but bro, this is hell. You look like every other monster out there. What makes you fearful? Writers, can you add more depth or explanation to this character? And the dumbest part is, they put so much emphasis into Alistair meeting this supposedly important character, Hark, only to then have Hark be never heard of or seen from again throughout the entire season. So it's this character doesn't even join the fight at the end of episode 8. So even if this character was so fearful, what is the point? Y'all wasted it by never bringing him up ever again. So that's stupid. But anyways, the meeting of Carmelo Carmine and Alistair is essentially just there for the third member of Vox's team.
Yes, I've got it handled, Vox. So see you soon.
Nice of you to join us, Velvette. Will your colleagues be joining?
No, they have better shit to do. I'm here to represent.
And even then, it's pretty lackluster, as she's pretty much just there to brag and be disrespectful.
Mega proof! It's a dead fucking exorcist! You going blind, old man? Oh, I get it. So Grandpa is too pussy to fight. Oh, what's the matter, fossil? Too senile to make a real power grab?
And it's okay, you basically did what every other character has done throughout this entire show, you're not special. But to give the writers a little bit of credit, the song that plays during this is actually super well written. It's got a nice beat.
You've got it twisted.
A nice flow.
I'm that hashtag bitch and I will do nothing less than what I please.
And super awesome consistency.
I acted respectless. Well, it's cause no one could respect this.
So I will give credit where it's rightfully due. But that aside, the upcoming scenes that occur before the song was also kind of pointless, because if Hark is supposed to be this person that everyone's supposed to fear, then why would you as the writers not show this by not having Hark immediately annihilate this woman as soon as she talked condescending to him?
Better show some respect. Check your behavior. No one speaks to Zestial that way.
Yeah guys, Hark is so fearful. That's why the person at the council meeting was able to talk condescendingly and have no fearful tone in their voice. What is this shit, bro? But anyways, that aside, we then get to more Angel Dust sex jokes.
No activity requires more trust than BDSM. No bond stronger than those formed through bondage.
And while the jokes are cringe, they do have a purpose, being that Angel Dust uses this as his coping mechanism against Valentino. So at least there's a purpose, and it does show you that you shouldn't immediately jump to conclusions when covering a show like this, because later on there might be parts that connect to each other. So to give credit where credit is due. That aside, we then of course get to Vaggie basically being frustrated with how things aren't going her way and how she feels like she's not satisfactory to her partner.
I took charge today
today, and it all went sideways. I'm supposed to make your dreams a reality. I'm supposed to protect you. I'm supposed to never fail you.
With it being duetted by Carmelo. And it's essentially just these people being worried throughout the whole song about not impressing others or not meeting standards the other people have set up for them. And the choreography is overall very good, so if you want to hear some very good soundtracks, listen to episode 3, but that aside, episode 3 was moderately fine, could have definitely done a lot better at establishing some of the characters, but nonetheless, relatively okay. Moving on to episode 4.
And we're gonna let it burn.
Episode 4 is really where Valentino and Angel Dust's demographic truly shines. It essentially reveals to you that the real reason why Angel Dust is so promiscuous or nymphomaniac-like is because it's basically his way of not only coping with Valentino's antics, but it's also his way of helping him get through the day when Valentino isn't around him. Because obviously, trauma from stuff like this doesn't just go away just because you're not 24/7 next to the person who is taking advantage of you. So, with the filming scenes being secretive and Angel Dust not wanting to tell Charlie what's going on.
Hold that thought. Hello? Yeah, I'll be right there. Well, looks like Val needs me for an, emergency shoot.
Angel, you can't leave yet.
Dollface, it's my job. Unless you can fix my boss, there's nothing you can do.
Also helping to further represent this, as this is something that does happen in real life, because a lot of people that fall victim to this don't come out about this stuff, whether it be for lack of evidence, the other person being financially or emotionally controlling of them, or due to a result of possible fearness or embarrassment, as talking about it takes guts to do, and I appreciate the writers for at least trying to give their audience a visualization of this exact thing. And if you want to argue whether or not they handled it better, sure, go ahead, but it's still overall getting the purpose of the message out there properly, which is an overall net positive. When looking at the online discourse or talk surrounding this episode, I honestly don't understand why there was so much backlash or hate for it. No, this episode did not fetishize this stuff, as if anything, they tried to portray it in the most accurate and realistic way possible.
The first, a confrontation between Angel and Val in his dressing room, is intentionally shot in dark lighting using uncomfortably close upward angles that emphasize Val's overwhelming stature to help us see us from Angel's perspective. There's also a distinct lack of comedy or background music compared to every other scene with Angel so far.
And in all honesty, I appreciate the writers for, being like, hey, as much as we may joke within our episodes, this is indeed the time for real and serious shit that we're portraying right now, and I applaud them for that. The later scenes where Charlie goes to the filming scenes and then Angel Dust tries to stop her from fighting against Valentino.
Charlie? What in the ever-loving fuck are you doing here? You are going nowhere near Val.
Angel, what is the fucking holdup?
Please, just wait until I'm done working and we will talk about this, I promise, but first you gotta go.
Again, this is something that we've seen in a lot of media.
Hey, you! Sit down. Take that mask off. You're all mine.
But after you leave, they will kill me.
If you don't do what I say, I will kill you before I leave.
As well as in real life.
Such a large chunk of my life, I was with someone who wasn't good for me, whether they emotionally, physically, really. There's a spectrum.
Emily said something incredibly important here, and I want to take a moment to underscore it. What she calls the spectrum.
With a person who's being taken advantage of, not wanting the other people to know or fight against the other person due to fear of backlash.
It's far more likely to go unreported, often due to fear.
It's kind of like when a person is being bullied and doesn't want the other kids to tell the principal or the teacher, with them being like, don't tell anybody or don't tell the principal.
Miss Parker.
This is my son, Dre.
Hats are not permitted.
Yeah, I should have. Is that makeup? What is that? Mom, I ran into a pool. No, you have a black eye. Who did it? Nobody, Mom. That's why I don't tell you stuff.
So overall, pretty solid, and I don't really have any issues with it. So in all honesty, I don't understand what the backlash was, as the writers were handling it as seriously as they could. What's the issue here? Most of the criticisms surrounding this episode are also really stupid and in nature. Like, you have people complaining about there not being a disclaimer or a warning when literally the first thing that pops up when you click on the episode is a clear content warning that alerts you about these potentially triggering matters and topics being discussed. They didn't put a disclaimer. What are you talking about? There's a disclaimer right there. Dumbass motherfucker. And Just Stop's follow-up tweet kind of like summarizes this, because you guys throughout the quote retweets didn't provide any evidence or video clips that directly proved Braxton wrong. You just attacked Braxton's character or Braxton's content. If anything, you just proved his point. But nonetheless, the later scenes between Husker and Angel Dust, with Husker then trying to save Angel Dust from being roofied, because generally it's a lot easier for someone who's being taken advantage of by one person to also be taken advantage of by another simultaneously. So very solid writing there as well. And when it comes to the artist that everyone's talking about, aka the person who's doing all of these so-called Angel Dust and Valentino non-con shippings, aka artist Tony Raphael, the art that this person makes is definitely worth criticism, and maybe you could say that, you know, Vivziepop definitely could have done a better job at like checking up on this person. And what doesn't help is that people are also falsely claiming this person is into like lollies or defending it, which is also horseshit, because when I actually went to press them for evidence, they didn't have any, and not surprisingly, these accounts were gladly suspended. When it comes to the overall song Poison, the song Poison isn't at all fetishizing it. If anything, the show is just showing that Angel Dust is calling it as poison because he knows that while Valentino is this dangerous and vile individual, he knows he can't leave him because he's financially, emotionally, and contract binded to him.
Poison, I'm drowning in poison. I'm filling up my glass, but it's always hollow, full of poison. I'm sick of the poison. Wish I had something to live for tomorrow.
Letting us know that Angel Dust just wishes he could get away from this toxic and disgusting relationship, but he can't because this poison, as much as it is killing him, is the only thing that's keeping him on his solid ground. Kind of like when victims of this stuff don't leave the person who's doing it to them. They wish they could, but the person is financially, emotionally, or monetarily barring them from their ability to separate.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be weird if there was like this thing where like victims continue to like stay in relationship because they're like afraid or don't know how to get out? It's almost like there should be some kind of term. Oh wait, battered woman syndrome. It does exist. Battered woman syndrome or battered person syndrome is a psychological condition that can develop when a person experiences, usually at the hands of an intimate partner. People who find themselves in a relationship often do not feel safe or happy. However, they may feel unable to leave for many reasons.
And overall, it's a sad reality, and I appreciate the show for not sugarcoating it. And for as much as I may dunk on Viv and her team, episode 4 is very solid. The later scenes between Husker and Angel Dust essentially show a different approach to someone who's dealing with this sort of stuff, because Charlie tried to directly confront the person, aka Valentino.
Alright, get your asses back on set and we are taking this from the top.
What makes you think you can treat him like that?
Which might not be the best, you know, in case this person has, you know, blackmail or something that could be used as retaliation, in the sense of the whole if I go down, you go down as well scenario. So Husker essentially having the scene of him acknowledging that while he may be an absolute wreck and poor broken loser,
you're a loser, baby. Fucked up little whiny bitch. You're a loser just like me.
At the end of the day, the only thing that isn't broken or wrecked is his moral values.
How about at rock bottom, but you got company. We're all living in the same shit sandwich.
Which fair.
We're both losers, and maybe that's fine by me.
I'm a loser, but at least I know I'm not alone, just like me.
Camp Superior destroys Camp I Wanna PP the first day of the summer games.
We're going to Trophy again. You were right before. We're the worst.
No, we're the best at being the worst. But I say we're the best at being not pretty. We're #1! We're the best at being the worst! Say it with me! We're the best at being the worst!
But the next day, Camp I Wanna PP comes back, and the ending score happens to be 50-70.
Charlie's later scene is basically kind of what happens when friends of people who are being taken advantage of are essentially gaslit by the person that they're trying to help.
Oh, no, he looked really upset.
It's just Angel. He'll be fine.
I'm not so sure. I really messed up at the studio today, and he got... it wasn't good, okay?
With it essentially being them having a moral conundrum of, should I go against this person's wishes and go out public, or should I respect their beliefs and keep it secret on the dead low?
No, don't force him back. Just make sure he's safe. I pushed too hard earlier, and I only made things worse. Look, he'll come back when he's ready. I just don't want anything to happen to him until then.
And yeah, this show represented that perfectly. The later scenes between Husker and Angel Dust are also solid. It's essentially just someone who is trapped by someone else coping with how they can deal with that reality.
It's not an act! It's who I need to be, and this is my escape.
I was an overlord once, you know. The stakes are pretty high, so when you're down on your luck, you turn to anything. So I know what it's like to regret the choices made.
Essentially, it's just people coming together and being like, yeah, you're not alone, I'm here if you want to talk.
I can handle myself.
Really? Because I just saw someone self-destructing. It seems like, I don't know, you might need a bartender to talk to.
Which fair. And with both Husk and Angel Dust, there's a lot of correlations because both of them chose to willingly do something.
He knows you can't do anything. I own you, or have you forgotten that?
No.
I was an overlord once, you know. But when you're dealing in souls while also being a gambler, the stakes are pretty high.
We're ignorant of the consequences of it and then had someone take advantage of their ignorance.
A place where I can get high and not have to think about how much it hurts. And maybe if I can ruin myself enough in the process, maybe he'll let me go.
So when you're down on your luck, you turn to anything. Keep you afloat, even making deals yourself.
Which solid. The scene then of course ends with Angel Dust and Husker basically coming to the realization that the people who are manipulating them are pieces of shit.
He had like bills, and it took him like 30 minutes to count it. His eyes are so shit.
And this is the guy you gotta take orders from?
I know, what a fucking joke, right?
With Angel then apologizing to Charlie and then telling her essentially, yeah, I was an asshole, I shouldn't have been a jerk to you, all you were doing is trying to care for me, I was wrong, I lashed out inappropriately.
Joel, I promise I won't ever...
Charlie, it's fine, I get it. Thanks for caring about me.
And honestly, these were absolutely perfect representations of these things. And honestly, it's so stupid seeing people like take Angel Dust making sexual jokes.
No activity requires more trust than BDSM. No bond stronger than those formed through bondage.
And then seeing it as them fetishizing it, and it's like, no. People who are different victims of this stuff choose to handle it differently, with some victims turning it into a joke because that's how they cope with it.
Angel allowed himself to fall into the toxic arms of Val, but isn't able to escape. So his coping mechanism is to dissociate and put on the act we've watched him do across the series, attempting to reclaim his sexuality through fake smiles and being overly suggestive while his true self struggles behind him.
And you can disagree with that, but it's like, as long as they're, you know, not causing harm towards others who did nothing wrong to them, then that's completely fine. So yeah, this episode ended on a solid note. Props to the writers, solid 10 out of 10 episode. Episode 5's purpose is pretty much just introducing Lucifer, and pretty much that's all it serves. This episode kind of serves as Charlie basically learning how to suck up her pride and ask her loved ones or family members for help. Kind of a little bit going off of what episode 4 was about, but reversed, with Charlie being the one who's reluctant.
Maybe it's time to ask
Don't say it!
your dad.
But then finally biting the bullet and accepting others' assistance.
Look, Dad, I don't ask you for much, but this is really important to me, and I need you. I need your help.
And you know, at least you know they're consistent with this stuff, which good on them. This episode, like, aside from the beginning themes correlate from episode 4, there's not really too much here, aside from Alistair and Lucifer's song, Battle Off, as to who is the better Charlie companion.
Looks like you could use some help. If you get the family right, who needs a busboy now that you've got the chef?
Who's been here since
since day one, your executive producer.
It was stupid because it's like, you're this person's father. Why are you jealous of some random ass stranger getting close to your daughter? And it's not like he's classist either, because Alistair and Charlie are pretty much on the same pedestal in this world. Not to mention the fact that Charlie is dating Vaggie, who's like 7 steps below her.
This is Vaggie. She's my girlfriend.
You like girls. We have so much in common. You put her there, Maggie. Yeah.
So it's like, this whole musical was stupid as fuck. Like, why is this father being envious of this random ass stranger having a connection with his daughter? Like, I get the point was that the father is jealous of other people's companionship to his daughter because he wishes he was much more closer, but like, we really didn't need a musical for this. But that aside, the episode then introduces Mimsy.
It's me.
Which, like, overall, the writers have had this weird habit of just introducing these random people who would just have associations with Alistair and then putting them in episodes.
Didn't you just hear me? Why is everybody gawking?
And then at the end of the episode, making these characters obsolete. And the biggest ironic part here is that Mimsy talks about how Alistair has this soft side in him.
You and Alistair are like, what, friends?
Well, you probably heard the stories. But underneath, he's a total sweetie. Put on some jazz and pour a couple fingers of rye and he becomes a kitten. Stop with the look. He hasn't done any of that in a while.
Only to then immediately concede to never showing up to the hotel again when Alistair mildly threatens her.
So you need to leave.
Ugh, fine. Who needs ya? Have fun with your little princess in your little hotel. See if I can.
So it's like, what was the point? Like, was this really necessary? But that aside, the later scenes do help serve the whole estranged daughter is frustrated with said father's lack of belief and confidence in her.
You see? This is exactly what I'm talking about, Charlie.
Dad, stop! He's defending this hotel. How come he can have faith in me, but my own father can't?
Ooh, drama.
And again, not necessarily bad, but it's like, bro, Helluva Boss already did this like episodes ago.
Daddy, can we go see it someday?
Yes, dear, I promise.
Dad, this is going to be done before tonight, right?
What? Oh, I hardly think so.
So it's like, are we really going to reuse themes that Viv and her team have already done for other works? Like, come on. But overall, I think the biggest irony here is that Charlie calls her mom in the pilot, and despite asking her mom help with their situation, her mom leaves her on red and then never responds to her message.
Hey, Mom. I know I keep calling.
But when she calls her dad picks up the phone and actually shows up.
Daughter, hey, how are ya?
Come see what I'm trying to do.
You're inviting me over? Absolutely, Charlie!
But like, somehow we're supposed to think that she's the closer or more favorably bonded person to her, so it's like, can we get some consistency? Like, Jesus. But anyways, that being said and all, let's move on to episode 6. Despite episode 6 being where Charlie and Vaggie go to heaven, the overall scene surrounding their trip to heaven is really nothing special. We're basically introduced to the 2 main standard cliches that almost every hero-related antagonist TV show or movie has, which is, of course, main protagonist's enemies get chewed out for their inconsistencies.
See? He did everything on your checklist.
Then why isn't he here then?
Yeah, why isn't he here? Wait, none of you know what gets someone into heaven?
As well as the knowledge that the main character hero is finally made aware that their #1 closest ally is revealed to have actually once worked for the opposition side and has kept it a secret for so long until now.
Did you ever think your little girlfriend might be a liar? Why hide the fact that you're an angel just like us?
And while I get the approach they were trying to go for, episode 6 doesn't really do that trope much justice due to the fact that, like, not only does Charlie have Vaggie allow her to be returned to the underworld with her, but she also in the next episode doesn't even angrily kick Vaggie out.
And where is Miss Fearless Leader anyway?
She's upstairs, coming up with something, I'm sure, in our room.
Or even discuss this upset with the other house guests.
Oh,
Charlie, you look an absolute mess.
Go away, Alistair. I have enough on my mind without hearing Bruce's sadistic idea of a joke, asshole.
Which kind of ruins this whole devastating betrayal part of this revelation due to the fact that, like, in reality, Charlie really doesn't see it as this knife-stabbing scenario due to the reality that she hasn't even remotely, like, attempted to distance herself from Vaggie. Like, aside from just staying sulking within her room, it's like kind of contradictory to an extent due to the fact that, like, this show tries to appeal so hard towards an older demographic audience despite having characters like Charlie dealing with these so-called problems and betrayals like a literal child that just got told off their parents would do. Like, was this supposed to show us how devastated Charlie is by the backstab? Because in the next episode, it's literally faded from her mind as soon as she meets another powerful demon she'd like to ally with.
Oh, look at you. So polite. Alistair, you could learn a thing or two. Well, sit down, sit down.
So it's like you just ruined the point of this devastating betrayal. Like, it's just stupid, bro. So anyways, before Charlie and Vaggie go to heaven, we're of course introduced to Cherry Bomb's arrival. And overall, I get the purpose. She's supposed to be like serving as the friend who doesn't share Angel Dust's motives for betterment.
Angel, enough with the Val talk. Here, take one of these, and you won't be worrying about nothing. Come on, Angie, let's get fucked up. It's been too long.
And of course serves to be Angel Dust's way of establishing that he will choose betterment over folding his hands up for his friend's wants and desires.
I don't know. It's been a long night, and I don't need to go too wild.
But the other half of her entrance, they've tried like the whole male and female romance cliche, because Serpentious like starts to develop feelings towards Cherry Bomb.
I see the club has a sex room, so I was thinking maybe do a sex with me.
But it's like, all in all, the love demographic here is really just Serpentious likes Cherry Bomb because she can kick his ass.
What do I wear?
Don't fucking touch me, you munted dickhead.
Which, like, their love demographic could have been presented way more better than it was within this episode. But that aside, the later scenes in heaven between Vaggie, Adam, and Lieutenant aren't really anything that deep either. They help to show a little bit why Vaggie resents the heaven extraction team, as after all, they did pretty much condemn her and physically maim her for sparing mercy to a hellspawn child.
Now. Filth like you has no place in heaven.
Which of course back then and as of current goes against her, moral value of wanting to see sinners redeem themselves, with of course Hellspawn's children being the easiest patrons to commit this exact act upon. So if anything, it does show that Vaggie is more of an empathetic person than what we've previously seen her as. But nonetheless, that aside, as usual, of course, despite our two main protagonists being in court of heavenly grace, in reality, Angel Dust spectating look-through POVs are of course what rightfully carries this episode, with Angel Dust not only helping to further Charlie's desire for the hotel, but also shows Angel Dust's vastly progressive change when it comes to his fighting back against Valentino in this specific episode. As in this episode, we actually see Angel Dust fight against Valentino's demands, not just for the betterment of himself, but also for other various characters within this hotel, as well as we see him also stand up against Valentino's domineering behavior in order to rightfully protect Nifty from his graces.
Fuck off, Val. You forget who you're talking to. I own you, bitch.
Yeah, in the studio. But out here, I get to do what I want.
With Nifty, of course, returning the favor.
Oh, what the fuck? For my collection.
So, once again, Angel Dust once again swoops into the episode to once again hard carry and add some flavor of interesting drama towards the series. And it makes sense why Hazbin Hotel treat Angel Dust as their rightful golden hellspawn child. Like, yeah, he's a very good character.
And speaking of embarrassment, Hazbin has always had a heavier emphasis on women-led stories.
Liar!
I'm Katie Killjoy. Breaking news.
Stop the cap.
So Hazbin Hotel being women-led is straight up not true. Angel Dust's trivia in the wiki is 2,309 words long. Notice how the number of words describing their character decreases with the women. Notice how Angel Dust and Alistair both got full prequel comics dedicated to them. Hazbin is not women-led.
I got you right where I want to. Go ahead, sexy.
But overall, episode 6 was solid. There were some issues with it, but that being said, let's move on to episode 7. Episode 7, despite the beginning trying to establish how devastating the outcome of Vaggie's betrayal was towards Charlie, it's rather tarnished pretty quickly, with her simply forgetting about it when given the opportunity to receive allyship with another powerful demon overlord.
Oh, look at you. So polite. Alistair, you could learn a thing or two. Well, sit down, sit down.
And the scenes of Vaggie going on her heaven-slaying training montage aren't really anything awe-spying either. It's pretty much just your typical hero gets stronger montage that has been done better by thousands of other movies and TV shows out there. The scenes before Charlie starts her musical to inspire Carmelo's disciples have really stooped to such class writing that we unironically have a Karen joke.
Whoa! Bring Rosie back!
Susan?
Susan.
Which one, not only is super outdated, but it's also not very funny at all, as if you have to stoop to the point where you need to resort to a punchline in comedy, like if your punchline is, this character is a Karen, then you're really a high-key lost cause in this scenario. So overall, this episode was a relatively colossal mess, but nonetheless, let's hope the final homestretch episode can overcome the festering pile of disaster that this episode was. The final episode, of course, starts off with the introduction of Vox, and while we all know the obvious purpose is to, of course, give him the essential gateway of being a more mainstage threat in Season 2, and while all of that is true, this episode and its predecessors really don't do that eventful justice towards him at all, as even in this episode, all we were really shown in regards to Vox's character is that not only is he simply just a butthurt, sore loser who has a grudge against Alistair due to him getting his ass kicked by the guy, but he himself literally is too much of a pussy to get revenge on Alistair directly.
Oh, they suck. Oh, they suck so bad. They're gonna fucking die.
Like, throughout this entire season 1 of this show, Vox has had other people not only do his revenge bidding for him, but isn't even able to approach Alistair or talk shit to him towards his face. Like, bro has had to rely on other people to kneecap Alistair, as well as not even be able to confront the guy without the comfort and safety of his computer screen. And this is supposed to be the villain that we're supposed to care about or remotely value? Like, bro is useless and a pussy. Like, at least Valentino had the balls to fight against Angel Dust face to face.
Enjoy the rest of your night, bitch, because I'm going to enjoy making you pay for it tomorrow.
Vox doesn't even have the balls to do that. Like, what is the purpose of this character? I came here to watch a show with a character whom's suspenseful and mongers fear among others, not envision a character whose basic premise can be resembled as, this character has a petty high school type grudge against Alistair. Give me a reason to actually give a shit about him, or even be seen as a fear towards any of the main hotel characters. Anyways, that aside, the overall battle scenes between the citizens and the exorcist angels was relatively solid. The beginning, where there's a massive protective barrier around them, reminded me of the force field covering the IOI base in the Ready Player One movie. I'm not sure if they took inspiration from that scene, but I do see some correlations there. But nonetheless, that aside, the scene where Adam is essentially able to kneecap Alistair and break his staff.
Cause radio is fucking dead!
What just happened? Fuck.
Does help to bring up a bunch of future questions for Season 2's airing, especially in regards to Alistair's true soul prowess, and whether or not there is a way to actually overcome the so-called radio demon's strength. But nonetheless, that aside, we of course get our obligatory protagonist character dies whilst attempting to fight against a strong force of nature.
Eggs, activate thrusters. Target in range. What? Ah, that could have been ugly.
Which again, this scene really served was just to have Pentious join heaven up above. Like again, the whole Serpentious death scene is literally just supposed to be the whole protagonist sacrifices their life for the betterment of others cliche, but even then, it's not really impactful at all as it happens instantaneously.
Ah, that could have been ugly.
Charlie, I'm so sorry.
Razzle! Dazzle!
Which therefore ends up pretty much ruining the depression impact of what scenes like this are supposed to like do.
But I'm ready. Then Venom strike me right now. I'm sorry.
I see this parking. It's yours.
Like again, you have to always remember when dealing with tragic scenes in relation to death where one of the main protags passes away, you have to stretch it out and pad out the runtime. You can't just treat it as a one and done type extermination. That ruins the impact wholeheartedly. But that aside, the fight scenes do help to introduce Lucifer's prowess into the battle, which again, really just serves to be the whole main protagonist heroes are in trouble. A helping force comes to rescue.
It's time to die with the rest of them.
Sorry I wasn't here sooner.
Therefore resulting in the heroes overturning victory cliche. Simply just Lucifer coming in and saving Charlie and the gang's asses. The conclusion scenes between Vaggie and the lieutenant. The scene where Vaggie refuses to kill her and says this.
Do it then. Correct your mistake. Ready to die rather than accepting mercy? No, live. Live knowing that you only do because I let failure.
Shut the fuck up. God damn.
Is absolute horseshit. Come on now, writers. We all know you just did this so you don't have to kill off a suspenseful antagonist throughout your second season. Overall, the aftermath scenes of the battle are kind of sloppy, as the inclusion of Vox, Valentino, and the dress stylist were like absolutely pointless and unnecessary to this episode's runtime. They did absolutely nothing impactful or of worth here, which is even more stupid considering Stylist Girl a couple of episodes ago was out here openly bragging about how she killed one of the exorcists.
On the subject of discussion, if these holy rollers can be killed, the game has changed. We can take the fight to them. The boys and I have come up with a full assault plan.
Huh? How do you establish that as a premise, but then not include her within this fighting scene? Like, that's stupid. But anyways, nonetheless, to no one's surprise, the aftermath of the battle results in multiple sex jokes from Adam himself.
You don't get to end this. I'm fucking Adam. I'm the fucking man. I started everything on Earth. All of mankind came from these fucking nuts.
This is garbage.
With it coming to a conclusion with the final stab from Nifty, making him drop dead on the ground.
Nifty!
Which, as much as I may rip on the writers of this show, I do appreciate them for having the balls to go all out with killing one of the antagonist villains, so props to them. They avoided the constant trope of antagonist villain slips away due to unprecedented circumstances that the current episodes of Helluva Boss have gotten themselves stuck into.
Maybe you'll get me next time, Blitzy. Enjoy getting rid of them.
So good on them. They actually, realized, oh shoot, there's a cutoff time to, these characters. Anyways, with all episodes reviewed, let's establish my final thoughts.
Game over.
Overall, while season 1 of Hazbin Hotel definitely had some issues that arose in regards to the show's continuity, theme, and plotline, to give credit where it is rightfully due, the impactfulness that some of the episode's messages had, especially when it came to episode 4's presentation of Angel Dust and Valentino, alongside Angel Dust and Huskers demographic, were absolutely phenomenal, and helped to make these characters be more than just, horny demon boy and the I don't want want to do anything forced worker characteristic. So while when it comes to the other characters within this show, while there's definitely some desperately needed catching up improvements that the writers need to conduct with characters such as Vox and the fashionista lady, as all in all, in honesty, we need to see a little bit more of a reason to actually see these two as anything other than petty sore losers who sit on the sidelines and have others do all the action for them. So hopefully season 2, the writers will give them more of a threatening courage and prowess, as well as having them, you know, hopefully be able to take that same energy and character dedication towards other future reappearing characters of this show as well, such as the Lieutenant, Lilith, and Cherry Bomb. But nonetheless, that aside, that being said, overall, when it comes to this show, overall, would I recommend people, you know, purchase an Amazon Prime subscription for this show? Probably not, but if you are already an Amazon Prime subscriber yourself and want to watch this show, give this show an absolute watch. Some of the episodes are a miss, but the ones that are, you know, perfect definitely are rewatchable again and again and again. So that being said, that's going to conclude this review. Stay tuned for when I review season 2 of this show, as well as other future upcoming Helluva Boss or reviews of Vivziepop's other content as well. But that set aside, I'll see you guys later. Peace.